Dishonor on you? Dishonor on your cow?
Well, that certainly was a thing. So, I just watched the mess of a film that the live-action adaptation of Mulan, and while it was as much of a garbage fire as expecting...
Oh no! They're stealing the tire fire!
I still wouldn't call it a good movie. There are some fun things about it if you turn your brain off. And if I wanted to watch some decent choreography, I'd stick with my Japanese tokusatsu shows. At least the characters have some personality. Then there's the cinematography, which can be decent, but unfortunately some of it was made no bloody sense considering the context of some of the locations. And Disney pretty much showing that they belong to the Chinese overlords. It really bites. I understand that Mushu being taken out because he apparently was offensive to the Chinese audiences, but I mean... well, apparently the remake still offended Chinese audiences, so on a worse scale. Good job there, Disney!
You did it. Good job. I can't believe it. I'm proud of you.
Back to my point, while Mushu is gone and what we got was the Phoenix. Ugh. Like, is this what you really want to replace Mushu with?
That was vile. You owe me big.
Look, unless that Phoenix is actually this guy... you've already lost me. But the biggest issue from what I saw could have been Mulan herself and how they pretty much watered down her character from the original animated film. The original Mulan was a young woman who didn't have any training skills but had to work hard to become a soldier and eventually a hero, and not even using brute strength like the rest of the cast. She used her brain, showing that brain can be even better than brawn. She was going up against challenges that women in the time period it's depicted in wouldn't be able to do so, and going up against a patriarchal society just so she could help her father. And Mulan proved that she was just as, if not more so, capable than any man, especially since she used her brains. That's a good message for all kids and some adults to learn. That no matter what, if you work hard enough, you can accomplish your goals, despite what shortcomings you may or may not have. Or if that doesn't tickle your fancy, that just because there's a direct and more physical route, that doesn't mean you neglect your smarts. Hell, in the original film, she hardly fights. She uses her brains. Like how she defeated Shan Yu, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, so... ugh.
It looks like you're out of ideas.
Not quite. Ready, Mushu?
I am ready, baby! Like me!
Get off the roof, get off the roof, get off the roof.
Not for Mulan 2020!
Dishonor! Dishonor on your whole family!
As it turns out, Mulan's already got magical chi powers and a master martial artist. You know, that kinda gives me flashbacks to something.
I'm the Avatar! You gotta deal with it!
Great! You owe me a TV, mate.
And this ties back as to why I don't like this film and actually admire the first one a lot better. It's because Mulan is actually a character and showed that she could grow. She struggled in order to prove that she's just as capable as any man, and even though she fails, she's shown to overcome her shortcomings, and only goes on to succeed. Mulan 2020 really doesn't have that. She's born with these powers and doesn't really have to overcome any actual trials. The only thing that can be considered a flaw of hers is that she's holding back.
Cultivate your gift.
Sir.
Your chi is powerful, Huajun. Why do you hide it?
And her abilities don't come from any training, they come from magic. And this is kind of a trend I've been noticing with female leads in some films. I'm sure you guys are already aware of this if you're capable of reading the title of this video, but I believe the new Mulan does fall in the camp of the dreaded Mare Su. Or at the very least, she has a few traits of the Mare Su.
Find the term sexist in itself because it's Mary Sue. I don't think there's a thing called Ryan Craig.
Depending on who you ask, Mare Sus can vary from person to person, but for me, Mare Sus tend to be overpowered characters who basically don't have to train in order to be good at what they do. Basically a pseudo-realistic ideal of feminine perfection. Just flip the gender pronoun and you got yourself the same for male characters. Although Gary Stews tend to follow the rule of cool to the extreme. Now, you can disagree with me that Mulan 2020 is a Mary Sue. That's perfectly fine. I don't expect people to agree with me. But to me, I think that in comparison to the original film, that the character is a lot more shallow than the animated version. In fact, I'd even say that the movie's message runs counter to the purpose of the original film. That's the thing, it wasn't because of magical powers, it was because of her ingenuity and ability to actually think. And I don't really get that when I watch Mulan 2020. She's basically just been made into a Mary Sue. And now I have to wonder why is...
But I don't care!
Well, and I can't really speak for this because this is an article from a few years ago, there is a theory that it's pandering, of course. In 2015, there was an article that talked about why stories typical of the Mary Sue character are popular in Chinese culture. That's a form of wish fulfillment.
Did you understand what I said before?
Not really. Now take this article with a grain of salt. Again, it's 5 years old, who knows how trends are, but essentially the reason why we're seeing Mary Sue-like characters, or what people can attribute the Mary Sue moniker, is an appeal to the Chinese audience. Something that corporations like to keep doing because China happens to be a very profitable location in the world. It's a shame that Mulan 2020 was hated by Chinese audiences due to all the controversies in the execution of the movie. The original Mulan wasn't perfect, but from a writing standpoint, it was much stronger than what we got in the 2020 film. And this is something that we've been seeing as a trend, where female characters are basically turned into Mary Sues. And it's something that, as someone who writes, enjoys good media, and frankly hates terrible writing, I worry about that. That this is the level of writing that we're accepting nowadays. It's lazy and harmful. I'm glad that people are not taking this movie seriously, that they are making it stink about it. Instead of telling people that you can work hard to achieve your goals, you now have to be a chosen one who can do this. However, to get back on track, when you think of good characters, memorable characters, it's characters who are able to overcome their flaws, their weaknesses, and come out on top. We want to see a character grow. We want to see them changed into a better person. We want to see the journey for them to become strong. That's how you make great characters. It's what made the original Mulan so memorable. Well, that and the music, which, by the way, as you can imagine, the 2020 version doesn't have the memorable tunes to it. Which... good job, Disney! And yet, we get a natural-born warrior with magical powers, and the only flaw she has is that she's not using them to their fullest potential, by choice. And that, to me, is boring. This is kind of the same issue that people have with Rey, and no, I will not call her a Skywalker, with her essentially being nothing more than a Mary Sue. Now, whether or not you agree these characters are Mary Sues or not, you're more than welcome to disagree, but people are allowed to believe that these characters are terrible. And so long as they're not lying outright, they have the right to basically have that opinion. Mulan 2020 is even worse when you consider that pretty much dashes on the original message. So yeah, I don't think it's a good movie, and I hope that the trends that have been appearing on Flix as of late don't show up again. I can only be afraid of what will happen in the future. But hey, that's just one guy's opinion on the net. What are your guys' thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm MangaKamen, and remember to examine your fandom.